Competitive landscape: how Trump's 2025 address will shift global economic power dynamics. On January 20, 2025, Donald Trump is set to return to the White House amid significant global shifts that promise to reshape economic power dynamics. His administration will face three pressing megatrends: demographic changes, environmental crises, and rapid technological advancements. Analysts predict that under Trump's leadership, the U.S. could increase its global economic influence by approximately 20% by 2028. However, the effectiveness of this increase will largely depend on how well his policies address these megatrends. Demographic shifts. The first megatrend is a demographic mismatch between aging populations in wealthy nations and rapid population growth in developing regions, notably Africa. The Carnegie Endowment highlights that while countries like Italy and South Korea face declining birth rates, Africa is projected to see its population double by 2050. This presents a potential economic boon, given that 1 in 4 people globally will be African. However, Trump's previous immigration policies, which aim to restrict legal immigration, may hinder the U.S. from fully capitalizing on these demographic advantages. The U.S. fertility rate is currently at 1.62 children per woman, below the replacement level. With the need for millions of immigrants annually to sustain economic growth, failure to reform immigration policies could lead to labor shortages and economic stagnation. Environmental crises. The second megatrend is the escalating environmental crisis, primarily driven by climate change. The latest data shows alarming trends, with the planet on track for a temperature rise of 2.6 to 3.1 degrees Celsius this century, far exceeding the 1.5-degree target set by the Paris Climate Agreement. This scenario could result in catastrophic weather events, threatening economic stability. Trump's dismissal of climate change as a hoax and his preference for fossil fuels could jeopardize U.S. leadership in global climate initiatives. His administration's potential implementation of tariffs on imports, while aimed at protecting U.S. manufacturing in the short term, could disrupt international trade relationships and cooperation on environmental issues, as noted by the BBC. The environmental challenges will require nuanced policy responses that balance economic growth with ecological sustainability. Technological advancements. The third megatrend is rapid technological advancement, particularly in artificial intelligence (AI) and synthetic biology. The Carnegie Endowment warns that while technological innovations can drive economic growth, they also pose risks such as increased unemployment and societal upheaval if not properly regulated. Trump's administration may favor deregulation, prioritizing economic growth over safety measures, which could exacerbate competition with countries like China. As AI technology continues to evolve, the U.S. faces the dual challenge of maintaining its technological edge while ensuring ethical standards and safety measures. Without robust oversight, the unchecked growth of AI and genetic technologies could lead to significant social and economic disruptions. Analysts emphasize the importance of international cooperation in developing standards that ensure the responsible use of technology. Economic implications. The BBC article discusses the potential implications of Trump's return to the White House on the global economy. Analysts anticipate that the U.S. may adopt a more isolationist stance, implementing new tariffs against key trading partners including China, Canada, and Mexico. While such measures might support short-term domestic growth, they could also lead to increased prices for consumers and disruptions in global supply chains. Experts warn that these protectionist policies could harm both U.S. and global economies, particularly in industries dependent on cross-border supply chains. For instance, car manufacturing relies heavily on integrated supply chains across North America. Disrupting these chains could lead to increased costs and reduced demand, ultimately harming investment levels and economic growth. Timeline of events. January 2025, Trump takes office for a second term, confronting significant global megatrends. 2023 to 2024, intensifying demographic shifts and environmental crises shape global economic dynamics. Post-2025, analysts predict a precarious balance between U.S. growth and international relations dependent on Trump's policy decisions. Conclusion. In summary, while Trump's presidency could result in a short-term increase in U.S. influence through protectionist measures and domestic growth, the long-term implications of failing to adapt to global megatrends may undermine this growth. The challenges posed by demographic shifts, environmental crises, and rapid technological advancements necessitate a strategic approach that balances national interests with international cooperation. To navigate these currents effectively, Trump's administration would benefit from embracing comprehensive immigration reforms, asserting U.S. leadership in climate initiatives, and enhancing regulation of emerging technologies. Only by addressing these critical issues can the U.S. position itself to thrive in an increasingly interconnected and complex global landscape. Counterintuitive information in the content. 1. Demographic mismatch versus immigration restrictions. The content discusses a demographic mismatch where wealthy nations face aging populations while regions like Africa experience rapid growth. It suggests that higher legal immigration could help mitigate labor shortages in the U.S. However, Trump's continued restriction on immigration, despite the need for a workforce, could exacerbate economic challenges. This contradiction highlights the counterintuitive situation where policies intended to protect American jobs might actually hinder economic growth by limiting the influx of necessary labor. 2. Environmental policy and economic growth. The expectation is that Trump's pro-fossil fuel stance could lead to short-term economic gains due to job creation in traditional energy sectors. However, the content points out that ignoring environmental crises can have long-term detrimental effects on the economy, such as increased disaster recovery costs and loss of biodiversity, which directly impacts economic productivity. The counterintuitive aspect here is the notion that short-term economic policies could undermine long-term economic stability and growth. 3. Protectionism's potential backfire. The articles suggest that Trump's protectionist policies, such as imposing tariffs, could lead to short-term benefits for U.S. manufacturing but could also trigger a backlash affecting global trade dynamics. This includes increased prices for consumers, disrupted supply chains, and potential recessions in interconnected economies. The counterintuitive insight is that while protectionism might seem beneficial for domestic industries, it can create a domino effect that ultimately harms the U.S. economy. 4. Technological advancement versus deregulation. The rapid advancements in AI and synthetic biology present significant risks, including job displacement and ethical dilemmas. The content suggests that Trump's administration may favor deregulation in these areas, prioritizing economic growth over safety measures. The counterintuitive point here is that deregulating these rapidly evolving technologies could lead to greater instability and risks to public welfare, undermining the very economic growth that deregulation aims to achieve. 5. Tariffs and the global economy. The anticipated tariffs on imports from China, Canada, and Mexico could initially bolster U.S. manufacturing and growth. However, the content warns that these tariffs could lead to increased prices for American consumers and harm relationships with key trade partners. The counterintuitive element is that while tariffs might seem to protect domestic industries, they could provoke retaliatory measures and broader economic repercussions that undermine the initial benefits. 6. Immigration policy and economic growth. The expectation is that Trump's administration will continue to restrict immigration, which is counterproductive given the U.S. needs skilled labor to sustain economic growth. The contradiction lies in the political rhetoric favoring American workers while simultaneously ignoring the economic necessity of a robust, diverse workforce that includes immigrants to fill labor shortages. 7. AI risks versus economic competition. The content posits that while advancing AI technology is crucial for maintaining a competitive edge against countries like China, the lack of regulatory oversight could lead to societal upheaval and job losses. The counterintuitive aspect is that the push for rapid technological advancement without safeguards could ultimately harm the very workforce and economy that such advancements aim to benefit. 8. Short-term gains versus long-term sustainability. it is suggested that Trump's policies may lead to an increase in U.S. influence in the short term, but the long-term ramifications of failing to address demographic, environmental, and technological trends could destabilize that influence. The counterintuitive realization is that chasing short-term successes without addressing foundational issues may jeopardize future economic stability and growth. By highlighting these counterintuitive elements, the content emphasizes the complexities and potential pitfalls of policy decisions that may appear beneficial at first glance but carry significant longer-term consequences. In the context of Donald Trump's anticipated 2025 address and its implications on global economic power dynamics, several points of significant yet often overlooked content emerge from the analysis of demographic shifts, environmental crises, and technological advancements. These aspects are crucial for understanding the broader implications of Trump's policies and their effects on both the United States and the global economy. 1. Demographic shifts and immigration policy. While the demographic mismatch between aging populations in wealthy nations and youthful populations in developing regions is widely recognized, the implications of Trump's immigration policies merit closer scrutiny. The potential for increased U.S. influence hinges significantly on the ability to harness immigration as a solution to labor shortages and economic stagnation. Trump's historical stance of restricting legal immigration could exacerbate existing demographic challenges, undermining economic growth. Significance: this demographic issue is not merely about numbers, it directly ties into the U.S.'s ability to innovate and maintain its competitive edge. As countries like Africa experience population booms, the U.S. could benefit from attracting skilled workers to fill gaps in the labor market. However, failing to adapt immigration policies could lead to a stagnation in economic dynamism, resulting in a loss of competitive advantage over nations that embrace a more open immigration strategy. 2. Environmental crises and climate change policy. The environmental crisis characterized by climate change and its associated risks is another area where Trump's policies could have long-lasting implications. His dismissal of climate change as a hoax and the push for fossil fuel dependency could significantly hinder U.S. leadership in global climate initiatives. While immediate economic benefits from fossil fuels may seem appealing, the long-term costs associated with climate inaction could be catastrophic, impacting global stability and economic resilience. Significance: the failure to address climate change is likely to lead to increased global tensions and resource scarcity. As nations grapple with the fallout from environmental disasters, the U.S. risks losing its position as a leader in technological innovation and sustainability. This could create a vacuum that other nations, particularly in Europe and Asia, might fill, thereby diminishing U.S. influence on the world stage. 3. Technological advancements and regulation. The rapid pace of technological innovation, particularly in AI and synthetic biology, is another megatrend that could reshape economic power dynamics. Trump's administration is expected to favor deregulation, which could accelerate innovation but also increase risks associated with these technologies, such as unemployment and societal upheaval. The lack of robust regulation could lead to ethical dilemmas and exacerbate inequalities. Significance: the implications of unregulated technological advancement extend beyond the economy. They touch on national security, social cohesion, and international relations. A failure to implement appropriate regulations could lead to a loss of control over these technologies, resulting in heightened competition with nations like China and potentially destabilizing global relations. Moreover, the U.S. could miss the opportunity to set international standards for technology governance, which would diminish its global influence. 4. Protectionism and global economic stability. Trump's potential return to protectionist policies, such as imposing tariffs on key trading partners, could have immediate positive effects on U.S. manufacturing but may lead to longer-term global economic instability. Tariffs could disrupt established supply chains, particularly in industries like automotive manufacturing, where cross-border collaboration is essential. Significance: the ripple effects of protectionism can lead to retaliatory measures from trading partners, exacerbating tensions and potentially triggering a global recession. The interconnectedness of global economies means that the US cannot isolate itself without consequences. As countries seek to protect their interests, the global economic landscape could shift towards fragmentation, undermining cooperation and collective growth. 5. Strategic policy responses. The intersection of these megatrends highlights the necessity for nuanced policy responses that balance national interests with international cooperation. Trump's administration must navigate the complexities of immigration, climate, and technology in a way that promotes sustainable growth while fostering collaboration with other nations. Significance: a strategic approach to these challenges is essential for maintaining U.S. influence in a rapidly changing world. By recognizing the interconnectedness of these issues, the administration can formulate policies that not only address immediate economic concerns but also lay the groundwork for long-term resilience and leadership on the global stage. Conclusion. In summary, while Trump's anticipated term may bring short-term boosts to U.S. influence, the long-term implications of demographic shifts, environmental crises, technological advancements, and protectionist policies could undermine that growth. The significance of these overlooked details lies in their potential to shape the trajectory of U.S. global standing and economic stability. The administration's success will hinge on its ability to adapt and respond to these megatrends with foresight and strategic collaboration, rather than reactive isolationism. 1. Demographic shifts in immigration policy. The impact of demographic changes on the U.S. economy is profound as the nation faces an aging population and declining birth rates, while regions like Africa are experiencing rapid growth. The need for increased immigration to sustain economic growth contrasts with Trump's policies, which historically have restricted immigration. The failure to adapt immigration policy could exacerbate labor shortages and hinder economic progress. An in-depth discussion should explore the implications of these demographic dynamics, the necessity for immigration reform, and the potential economic consequences of inaction. 2. Environmental crises and U.S. leadership. The escalating environmental crisis presents a significant challenge for the U.S., particularly in light of the impending climate catastrophes outlined in the analysis. Trump's dismissal of climate change and prioritization of fossil fuels could undermine U.S. leadership in global climate initiatives. In-depth analysis should focus on the economic and geopolitical ramifications of neglecting climate action, the potential for U.S. industries to innovate in clean technologies, and the broader implications for international cooperation in addressing environmental issues. 3. Technological advancements and regulatory challenges. Rapid advancements in technology, particularly in AI and synthetic biology, present both opportunities and risks. The anticipation of job displacement and societal upheaval due to unregulated technological growth is a pressing concern. Trump's administration may favor deregulation, prioritizing economic growth over necessary safety measures. Analyzing the balance between innovation and regulation, the role of government in overseeing technological advancements, and the international competition for technological supremacy, particularly with China, will be crucial for understanding future U.S. economic dynamics. 4. Protectionist economic policies and global trade dynamics. Trump's potential return to protectionist policies, including new tariffs, could lead to short-term gains for the U.S. economy but may have detrimental effects on global trade relationships and supply chains. The anticipated tariffs on trading partners, particularly China, Canada, and Mexico, could disrupt established economic frameworks and increase prices for American consumers. A comprehensive discussion should evaluate the long-term sustainability of protectionist measures, the impact on global economic stability, and the risks of escalating trade tensions, which could lead to recessionary pressures both domestically and internationally. Each of these points warrants detailed analysis, examining the interplay between domestic policies and global economic trends, and the potential outcomes for U.S. influence in the international arena by 2028. 1. The Tariff Act of 1930. Smoot-Hawley Tariff. this significant piece of legislation raised U.S. tariffs on numerous imports in an attempt to protect American industry during the Great Depression. The act aimed to boost U.S. agriculture by imposing high tariffs on agricultural goods, which backfired as countries retaliated with their own tariffs. This led to a substantial decline in international trade and deepened the global economic downturn. The Smoot-Hawley tariff is often cited as a historical example of how protectionist policies can lead to increased tension between nations and exacerbate economic crises. 2. The Marshall Plan 1948. Following World War II, the U.S. initiated the Marshall Plan to aid European reconstruction. This extensive economic program aimed to stabilize and rebuild war-torn European economies to prevent the spread of communism. By providing over $12 billion equivalent to over $100 billion today in aid, the U.S. significantly increased its influence in Europe. The Marshall Plan is often viewed as a successful example of how strategic economic initiatives can reshape global power dynamics, fostering alliances and economic stability. 3. The rise of Japan in the 1980s. During the late 20th century, Japan experienced rapid economic growth, leading to it becoming the second largest economy in the world after the U.S. This period saw Japan's aggressive export policies and technological advancements, leading to tensions with the U.S. and other Western nations. The U.S. responded with trade negotiations and tariffs to protect its industries. The dynamics of U.S.-Japan economic relations during this time illustrate how competitive economic strategies can shift global power and provoke significant policy responses. Donald Trump's anticipated address in 2025 is poised to significantly influence global economic power dynamics, potentially increasing U.S. influence by 20% by 2028. This forecast hinges on three critical megatrends: demographic shifts, environmental crises, and technological advancements. Each of these trends presents challenges and opportunities for the U.S. as it navigates a complex international landscape. Demographic shifts. The world is witnessing a marked demographic imbalance. Wealthy nations, including the U.S., are facing aging populations and declining birth rates, while regions like Africa experience rapid population growth. This demographic mismatch necessitates increased immigration to mitigate labor shortages and sustain economic growth. However, Trump's administration may continue its restrictive stance on immigration, limiting the U.S.'s ability to leverage potential demographic advantages. Without significant reforms, the U.S. risks exacerbating its economic challenges, including labor shortages that could hinder growth. In the face of these demographic shifts, the U.S. might need to reconsider its immigration policies to attract younger workers from regions with high population growth. A balanced approach could provide the necessary workforce to support economic activities and maintain competitiveness in a rapidly evolving global economy. Environmental crises. The environmental crisis, particularly climate change, is another pressing megatrend. The U.S. has been criticized for its previous administration's dismissal of climate change as a significant threat. Trump's potential return to power could renew focus on fossil fuel industries at the expense of global climate initiatives. While short-term policies like tariffs on foreign imports could protect U.S. manufacturing, they may also strain international relationships and hinder collaborative efforts to address climate change. To enhance its global standing, the U.S. must adopt a leadership role in climate initiatives, aligning domestic policies with global sustainability goals. Failure to do so could lead to increased global tensions and economic instability, undermining any short-term gains achieved through protectionist measures. Technological advancements. Technological innovation, particularly in artificial intelligence (AI) and synthetic biology, presents both opportunities and risks. The rapid advancement of these technologies could bolster U.S. economic growth and enhance its competitive edge. However, without adequate regulatory frameworks, the unchecked expansion of AI could result in significant societal challenges, including unemployment and ethical dilemmas surrounding privacy and security. Trump's administration may prioritize deregulation, potentially exacerbating these risks. A successful strategy would involve establishing robust domestic oversight while fostering international cooperation to create shared standards for technology governance. This approach could mitigate risks while harnessing the potential of technological advancements for economic growth. Economic implications. Trump's return to power is likely to be marked by a focus on protectionist policies, including new tariffs on key trading partners. While these measures may provide short-term support for U.S. industries, they carry the risk of escalating trade tensions and retaliatory actions from other nations, particularly China, Canada, and Mexico. Analysts suggest that such protectionist measures could lead to increased prices for American consumers and disrupt vital supply chains, especially in the automotive sector. Moreover, the potential for a recession looms as global economic interdependence becomes increasingly strained. The U.S. must navigate these challenges to maintain its growth trajectory while fostering positive international trade relationships. Timeline of events. January 2025, Trump assumes office, confronting the megatrends of demographics, environment, and technology. 2023 to 2024. Heightened awareness of demographic shifts and environmental crises influences global economic dynamics. Post-2025, analysts predict a precarious balance between U.S. growth and international relations, significantly shaped by Trump's policies. Conclusion. In summary, while Trump's presidency may initially bolster U.S. influence through protectionist measures and domestic economic growth, the long-term implications of ignoring global megatrends could undermine that growth. The complexities of demographic shifts, environmental crises, and technological advancements require nuanced policy responses that balance national interests with international cooperation. The U.S. stands at a crossroads. Its ability to adapt to these megatrends will determine its future economic standing on the global stage.